Okay, so let's flip this around. Let's see, how can we start this? Well, this is about, using reason like a Harrison Mixbus, if you've ever mixed on a Harrison Mixbus. So we're just going to jump into it without the theatrics. I'm just going to go through how this is one of my workflows, and this is what I would like to see. Reason probably make for Reason 13 implement some of these things, including like, I guess, MIDI note panning and shit. That's like one of the main thing. But if Propellerhead was to implement these type of things in the workflow, this would be crazy right here. So let's jump right off the bat. So, like right here, let's bring this down first. In order to bounce to get sounds to go to these channels over here, usually route like this right here, right? But what I'm basically doing is using this right here as a busting technique, where, as you see, the hip hop kit, the 808 and the snare is routed to what is considered a drum bus. And from there, the drum bus itself is routed to the return of 1 and 2. And then the instrument bus is routed to the return of, like, 1. The drums is going to 1 and the instruments is going to 2, whatever. And then you got your regular effects right here. And this, I did some advanced type routing in here to where I could get sounds from the reed drum to go to these things individually, just for a little bit of dimension and stuff like that. But I'll show y'all how to do that. But let's start right here. I'm going to show you the importance of why this right here is very important, and why they need to figure out how to implement this into their workflow for Reason 13. Because right now they say they want to work out bugs for Reason 12. I'm like, yo, it's all good. But from my perspective, this is what is needed. So here we go. And this is just something I put together with, like, a Reason stock hip-hop drum kit and some scalers, just to come up with some ideas real quick, just to show you how it works. Up here. Now, everything right there, I ain't gonna talk over the music. Everything right there could be considered average, right, and whatever. But it's just an idea to show you how this type of routing work and how it will make your mixing better, right? So we're gonna go like this. When it comes to reverb, this is where it's important. You want to be able to hear your reverb and how the sounds affect each other. And this is the only way really you can do it really quickly and, be able to mute this, mute that. Like, so if I wanted to set this up as I set this up, all I did was basically just soloed that, muted everything, and just went. And as you see, I just balanced the reverb together. See, they kind of work good together. It's easy to get that balance, and, like, and plus getting added separation, it's easy to just go bang bang, pan them against each other, the hall in the drum room, just to make it like kind of offset to give you space and depth. So now this is let's go into my instrument functional wish list. Also, let me not even get ahead of myself. Let's stop this shit right here. Alright. If we're using Reason like a Harrison Mixbus, right? I'm gonna say that the bus got some type of saturation due to the fact I'm doing this from a minimalistic perspective right here. So I'm actually using Reason 11 Lite just to show you what you can get from this type of technique, to where, again, if you have an imagination and you understand mixing, you can use this to go to the next level and take whatever you're doing to the next level. So let's say we're on a drum bus, and basically I'm gonna show you how I approach this. All right, so this is how it started. Like, it defaults with this vertical VSM 3, whatever. And And that's what you would set your drum bus to, like, you know, just automatically right off the bat. But then it allows you to go. It allows you to do stuff like that when you mess with it. You see, if you don't know if you want to copy these settings or whatever, but this is just what I use just from scoring from this. And this gives you more control than just like, you know, how the Harrison Mixbus saturation is. This is just something that's on the next level. Even though I love Harrison Mixbus, I'm just showing you how to treat your mix bus very simply and get a big sound without fighting with anything. And you can say bypass it. That's how the sounds would just regularly be. Yeah, it's subtle, but a whole lot add up. So now let's mute that right there. We're gonna go to the instruments. Yeah, I'm sidechaining an instrument bus with the snare. I got like a warmly free EP on 16 times oversampling, doing nothing, just for the hell of it, just so, you know, just something different. And I got this again now, doing its own thing. And we're gonna do the A and B and see where it started and from when I edited it. So that's how it automatically starts. And that's what I did. And this is just me using my ears and just saying, okay, that, I want to edit that, I want that to be there. And not going crazy, but, you know, you're just creating the dynamics and dimension with your bus. And this is just scalar right here, just the generic scalar sounds and unpanned. Now, something else on top of that. Okay, let's go back here right now. Let's get deeper into the workflow. All right, I got the insert, EQ, and dynamics. Let's look at what's going on with the insert over here. So, I'm gonna say why I'm doing these things right here, right? A lot of times when it comes to mixing, you got to know what you're trying to control and what spaces you're trying to control for. So for me, I usually set, and this is my insert right here. This is how I'm treating the sound before I would do anything extra, which I would use the SSL to control. Like, you know, I use this to control the dynamics of the 808 and the snare and a little bit of the drum bus and shit like that. But I'll walk through it 1 second and see what we're doing right here. All right. So I got this right here set to about 100 on a shelf, and I just use that right there like it's a live console or something like that, to where you're trying to get the best sound, and you just get, you know, we got 100 down there and probably 10K up here. I didn't even mess with up here, so it's usually, I'm pretty sure, let me go to something else and see, make sure. Okay, yeah, something like this, to where I got 10K up here, and again, I got about basically 100 down here, and this is, I'm just basically using this to shape the sound, sweeping and finding what I don't like, and, you know, and also, but before I do that, gotta make another little divergence. All right, with this compressor, how I would just do this EQing technique, you know, is like, you know, leveling first and then equalization second. And I guess this is again from the Harrison console. I'm just taking the workflow, which is you got a ratio which is probably going to be about 1.2, something like that, low threshold, and then anywhere from 50 on down, you get to control the attack of your sound. And usually they got a fast release right now for this. I'm not even going to mess with this because I already did whatever I did by ear, but it's usually set to fast release and between 50 or less milliseconds to control the leveling of the sound, but definitely low ratio and threshold. And that just gives you something where we're gonna turn it on and off and see what it does. But we're gonna go back to the 808 for that though. Alright. So let's say we're just gonna bypass what's going on in this channel right here and see what it sounds like. You see what I'm saying? And all I'm doing right here basically is just what? Rolling off a little bit, 2 decibels at 100, 3, 34, how many decibels? Probably around 4 decibels. compressing it, and I'm also side chaining the 808 with the snare. So make sure that the snare, because it's such a sustained 808, I don't want the snare to even think about that. But let's turn it back on and see what we did. And you see how much control you have just by leveling that, pulling that in. And then after that, now on this channel right here, again, you see the signal for chain, which is, this is basically how a Harrison console is usually hooked up, the typical way of using it, which is equalizer to limiter. Why don't I use this right here for a limiter? And I'm like, no matter what I try, you know, you can go to 1.2 or some shit like that and mess with the threshold, and you don't get what you're supposed to get. You gotta deal with the gain and all that other shit. Nah, I don't want to do that. I just want something that when I set it to 1.2 and I turn the threshold down, I know I'm getting something and I can hear the changes that's happening in the compressor. Now, why is this right here at 69, even though I said 50 or less? This is what gives you greater function with this type of leveler than what's in the Harrison console, because I guess it's from 50 and down. For like long sub sounds, you need your attack to be kind of slower so it can do what it's supposed to do. And again, you're doing what you're doing by air. So this is just what happened. And again, all of this is going into this. I get to hear, and this is like, you know, even more advanced mixing, because when you're able to do all of this, pardon me, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Just be able to hear your reverbs just by themselves that easily, the music by itself. Yeah, I give you like a console type workflow. Again, now the Harrison console, you know, it got tape saturation and all of that. This is just being creative saturation, using, you don't just have to try to copy apples for apples. As long as it's food, eat it, man. God bless. You can support if you want. Shut Up and Mix, Cash App. Shut Up and